Check. I think we are live. Although it says there's 0 people in here, but there's 7 or 8 people in the chat. So that probably means that everybody left the second I came on, which wouldn't be that surprising. Guys, it is Off-Centered Thursday night. It's our weekly ritual. Excited to be here. Let me just get everything together here. I've dropped my snacks on the floor, and they are on the floor now. So there's that. All right. Do we have Brad? I think that we have Brad. Let's go ahead and bring him out. I should probably tell you who he is for those that are new. Oh, here we go. I pressed the wrong button.
Man, rough start.
Brad, comeback card investor.
Rough start.
My intros are grade A every single time.
The bar keeps getting lower. The bar is getting lower faster than the card prices.
The intro is like my grandfather trying to work a computer. Like,
why is it all black? Why is it all black? Well, I thought it was funny. If you drop your snacks on the floor, you're getting even closer to grazing like grass, even closer to a personal grazing cow.
Unbelievable. The disrespect. All right, let's say hello to some of the people in the chat real quick. Alex, Global Sports Card Investor. What's up, man? Paul with the alien face. Team Otter Swim. Off-centered and dinged corners. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Hello to my fellow Aussies. G'day, mates. Mastradamus, man, Dustin towers over Brad. Sure thing. That is true.
This is just for Dominic. I see.
Brad is 6'9". I'm 7'4". I'm like Porzingis. All right.
Show Dominic's comment at 6:02 or 9:02 for your time.
Okay, I'm not there yet. All right. Chris Paul resting up. Go Suns. 118 degrees here. Oh, okay. You're in Phoenix. That's right. Cooking my pizza on the pavement. Brian, do you think the Suns are going to pull this thing off? I'm excited to see whoever they play. It's going to be a good one. Sup, fellas? Love the Joe Chambers Booker face-off. It was a bit off-center. It was. Brad's like, yeah, he's not the best, Photoshopper in the whole world. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, here's the thing. It was tough. For you have a pretty similar skin tone as Jokic, which means you need to get a tan.
Kind of built like the Joker. Just like,
dude, this is what I thought of, though, is like you got guys like the Joker, and then who's that boxer? A Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
Right? Tyson, and you got guys that like just don't look athletic. They don't have the muscle definition. And then you have guys like LeBron James, and you have just these guys that look like freaks of nature. And it's actually inspiring when you get like the Steph Currys, the Jokic, the Tyson Furies, the guys that just don't look like they would dominate, be so good. And I think it's inspirational, to be honest. But long story short, you have the same complexion, so your face looked really good. For me, it was really tough on Devin Booker, but you didn't want to post that. You were like, you thought that was going to be too controversial or weird or erotic or something.
It was a little too much for me, but okay. I knew you were going to do it, so it's totally fine. Plus, I almost put a bronzing wipe on today, and I thought that maybe the complexion wouldn't match up.
I would have to switch you, yeah. Well, people would probably think that you were me. That'd be funny. Is like we go on with our names switched, and I'll just dye my hair a bit lighter and I'll take all my decor off the wall and just put up like one little bush or one little, what do you got, picture frame, like an empty picture frame up there.
Yeah, it's just a picture, a random picture frame that you buy. Like it's got the picture already in it, and
it has the stock photo.
It's got the stock photo. Yeah,
you kept the stock photo of like the happy newlywed couples.
Oh yeah, my house is full of those. It's a little creepy. It's a little creepy. My wife's like, "You want to put some pictures in those?" I'm like, "Nope, I like them just the way they are." Matthew,
go down to Dominic's comment at 9:02. Should be 9:02 your time, 6:02 my time.
Center fielder Seven, what's up? We will get down there, Brad. Okay, I get it. It's a good comment. I get it. Bobby, what's up? No,
what's up, Bobby?
No. All right. Wait. I just passed like 50 comments. My bad, guys.
You'd think after a year you'd be decent at operating StreamYard.
Hang with me. What's up, Dustin? Add Brad, my God, to get that colored Prizm Burrow. Yeah, I mean, It's all about the print runs. I did a video on this where it was like I picked like 6 or 7 different cards, and then I wanted to get everyone's opinion on stuff. It's all about the print runs and the pop reports and all that. And it's like the thing with Joe Burrow is I could wait a year on that card, see where the pop report is, see where supply is, and then go from there. So we'll see. Paul, it's already going downhill. I don't know if you're talking about cards or the live stream, but hopefully
they work.
He's definitely
there's a correlation. There's a strong correlation.
Every time Dustin eats or Brad touches his hair, I'm taking a drink. Well,
you're going to be hammered soon.
You're going to be hammered. Yeah, Brad needs to do the frosted tips like the NSYNC like late 90s to do mine, and then I'll just do I've got a wig. I'll wear I've got my Brad wig that I'll throw on. I've got that for my whole look. We've got a whole Brad impression series coming out, guys. We've got all sorts of things, guys, that are coming out. Stay tuned.
With so little activity in cards, we've gotten so creative with just off the wall random ideas.
Yeah, there's some stuff that we're tinkering with that either is going to be loved or hated or both. And honestly, maybe both those things are good. We'll take it. Greg, good to see you, my man. Nettie, Dustin Jojic versus Brad Booker. Mad Mike for president, chilling on my sub setup, watching the Braves coming alive. That's one thing. We're competing against the Braves, the Bucks, the Nets, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think we're competing against 19 different sporting events right now, and we're winning, by the way.
Well, we were winning until you mentioned it and reminded people that there's actually sports on, and now they're going to go over there. But you know what?
That's what Sports Center is for.
Well, this is what we were talking about right before we hopped on, which is, what do you think? And you guys in the chat, I'd like to hear from you, as Dustin as well, is what do you think of us streaming during a game and we're watching the game as well, and you're listening to our commentary versus whatever commentators they have? Because I swear, some commentators are good and then the others are just boring as hell.
Yeah. Wait, to vote on that, if you could just what would the vote be? Commentator. That's a long word.
Sports analyst?
Yeah, but put sports analyst in the chat. That'll be an upvote for that. And then if we get 9 people that want to see that.
Yeah, commentator, something like that.
Yeah, we can take. Hey, Ryan, how's it going, buddy?
New profile picture, right?
Ryan, while Brad is doing nothing at the National but filming himself, Ryan is going to be with me at the show helping me find vintage baseball cards.
Actually, you told him that, but you're just going to have him film you. Your friend Brian won't be there and your wife won't do it.
Yeah, Ryan, sorry, man. Change your plans. I need you. You are the cameraman. No, I'm kidding. I won't do that. The Dumb and Dumber. Let's put another shrimp on the bobby. Alex just unsubscribed.
Yeah. How offensive is that? Just wondering, how offensive is that to an Australian, the average Australian?
Offensive. That's fun. It's all fun. Hey, I'm British. I'm half British, and Australians and British we're kindred spirits.
Are you really half British?
Yeah, my mom is 100%.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep.
I thought you'd be fancier than how you are.
You know what's funny? So I went to kindergarten in England. My dad was in the American Air Force, and we were stationed in England when I was a kid. So I lived in England from 2 years old. I was born in Germany. We moved to England when I was 1.5. Lived in England from 1.5 to 6. And I had a little British accent, moved over to Panama City, Florida. And I lost that accent really fast.
Oh, so this is what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were actually pretty cultured at some point, but there's the Florida factor. When you go to Panama City, Florida, it actually reverses all the culture and takes it all away. So if you moved anywhere else, you'd probably be somewhat cultured. But when you go to Panama City, Florida, it reverses everything. It was a different. It was
culture shock would be a way to put that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I will talk about cards at some point or sports.
I will say we'll get there. I will say the nicest people in the world in Panama City, Florida, back in the late 80s. I mean, it was the nicest, small town, really, really nice people. Love Panama City.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where spring break is huge.
Yeah, our spring breaks were unbelievable down there. Mm. All right. My two favorite card friends, Cake Boy and a sidekick finance dud. I think you might have spelled that wrong. Grumpy card guy. Probably not.
It's fiance dud, not finance dud.
The mighty Cake Boy dresses up in red velvet dresses and stalks old lady bars at night in search of counterfeit slabs. All right.
That painted a very vivid visual in my mind.
Grumpy card guy was working on that one for a little while. Pistachio juice. Is that a thing? Because I love pistachios. All right, can't watch the playoffs anymore. It's like 99. The younger teams will win since they can't handle it. Should have been a 40-game season. Yeah, and Brad and I were talking about that before we came on. Well, and the thing that's kind of weird, though, is like the Nets are banged up, and yet they won. And then also the Clippers are banged up. Kawhi is out, and the Clippers won. And it's like that is not what I thought was going to happen. I think a lot of people kind of thought that the younger teams were going to make it happen. They were going to win. I did not think the Clippers had a chance. Look, I knew they had a chance for the sole purpose of that they are a crazy good three-point shooting team. So if the Clippers get red hot shooting threes, then that's how they can beat you. But I still just did not think that without Kawhi, they would be able to win.
I thought that was a must win for the Jazz. Like it's like it's a tough series anyway, and you're given this gift of one of the best players in the league and the best player on the Clippers being injured for one game. And who knows if it's 2 games, but at least one game. You've got to win. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And we were saying too, I mean, if you look at like a lot of the spec play, with cards, it's like we're looking at like, the Tatums and the Trey Youngs and the Donovan Mitchells and these guys and even the Giannis has 2 MVPs, but everybody is waiting for him. Everyone's waiting for him to do something in the postseason. That's really kind of the missing piece to Giannis is when is he going to break out? When is this Bucks team going to get over the hump? And I thought that was going to be 2 nights ago when, Harden was, well, I guess Harden did play, but he wasn't 100%, not even close. Kyrie Irving's not playing. And then, KD did his thing, but it's like the greats have got to come. They have to come up big in those moments, And I saw, I'm not watching the game right now. Obviously, I saw the Bucks got off to a hot start.
Yeah, I got it open here on just like the ESPN website. 26-19 is the current score at the end of 1. But here's the big thing with Giannis, and I remember feeling the same way as a Magic fan when Dwight Howard was actually one of the most dominant centers in the league. His kryptonite was the free throw line, and I'm looking at the stats right now, and it says Giannis is 3 of 6. No, 3 of 7 from the free throw line. And you think of any star, any amazing player, I'd say Shaquille O'Neal is the one exception that you can be a top player in the league and struggle at the free throw line and still be one of the best. But Giannis, 3 of 7. I mean, that needs to be 80% minimum to be in that upper echelon, or the other team will know, look, he's on a run. He's hitting threes, or he's doing whatever he wants. Just foul him because he's going to get 1 of 2, and that'll be fine.
Well, even Luka against the Clippers, which really the Mavs. I didn't think the Mavs really had a whole lot of a chance to win that series, especially with the way Porzingis played. I kind of thought like, okay, Porzingis is going to have to have a big series for the Mavs to really have a shot there, and they took him to 7 games, and Luka's 50% from the free throw line. It's like,
is that an anomaly with this season? Because I like what we were talking about before is with the injuries going on, it might be the team, like the good team that's healthy versus the great team that would have won if this was a normal season and it was spaced out and players could heal. But it would be kind of lousy if the winner is not the best team. They're just the only team that was healthy at the right time. And even coming from talking about the Super Bowl where the Bucks beat the Chiefs and the Chiefs offensive line was really banged up. Patrick Mahomes was banged up, and who knows how that game would have unfolded if both teams were equally healthy. And not saying that it's ever like that. Obviously injuries are going to happen, but this season is like, all right, LeBron and AD and now Kawhi and Kevin Durant and Kyrie and Jamal Murray and all these players. And it's like, man, that's a lot of injuries. It's not even a matter of who's the best. It's more like just who's left.
Yeah. I'm going to slip in some card talk here so we don't bore everybody with our basketball takes. But we will come back to basketball. I was looking at a card today, and I want to actually get the chat's opinion on this.
Not mine, but everyone else's.
Brad will screw this up tremendously. But all right, so the card I was looking at, and this is just one example. I don't own any of these cards. It's 2017 Jayson Tatum Optic PSA 10 base. It's all about the base. Everyone hates base. It's gone from like base are pretty cool to base are the devil. We don't talk about base. And look, I understand it with the scarcity and everything else, but I want to talk through this card because I was looking at it. The height for this card. So PSA 10 Optic base, Jayson Tatum rookie. There's about 3,500 on the pop report right now. Obviously, that number is going to go up. Right now, the card, according to Card Ladder, it's about $157, $160 card right this second. During the height, if we go back to February, the absolute highest that I see on the chart is $484. $484. Okay. This is just one example. Okay. I mean, like, and like I said, I don't own any of these cards. This is just a card I was looking at. I'm going to walk you through my thought process and then you tell me.
Do you want to share the screen? Because I have it pulled up here on Market Movers, but do you want to pull it up on Card Ladder or whatever on your side so it's more visual?
Let me see if I can.
Just so you're not just explaining everything.
God, why are you such a pain?
I'm trying to help people. You want me to share?
Yeah, share it.
All right, here, allow it.
I have to get back to the stream. The green light's on. I'm like my grandpa. How does this work? All right, got it.
Okay. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, so we're looking at the same thing. All right, so yeah, whether you're on Card Ladder or Market Movers, same deal. All right, so if we go back right there, 2/1, February 2nd, that's right at the high, 484. Then I guess if you go back to October, that might be an anomaly. Either way, this card is coming down. It's kind of sloping downward in that 150 range and kind of in this new age of, card collecting of, all right, we're not necessarily looking to double, triple, quadruple, 10x everything.
Mm-hmm.
That our expectations are a little bit more in check. Where does this card have to come down to where this could be a card potentially, and whether it's Tatum or Trae Young or whoever it is, that where you buy it at 125 and maybe sell it for $180, $200 in October? I mean, at what point does that, can this card get back to $200 if it comes down a little bit further? I mean, the data would show that it seems like it could. What are your thoughts? And look, I'm not a huge base guy. I'm not saying like I'm rolling in base, but I'm saying these are more liquid cards typically, to where it's like not everyone can afford the colored stuff and not everybody wants the colored stuff. The base can be an entry point. So what do we think about that? Brad, throw out something.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at it is for cards like this, I just see it as, I'm going to pull up the holo just to compare the pop and the price just to see how it compares. And for me, I'm like, look, if the prices of a holo, let's pull this up in all the data, see exactly where it is. If the holo is $750, then not everyone can afford that. So the idea of, okay, $150, again, I look at 150 and go, well, what if I just make $40 at 200? And if I could sell in person at a show to someone that believes in Tatum having a great following year and that they want a liquid card to be able to move. Like, I feel like there's cards that are base and silver and holo that aren't that exciting, but they're the gambling cards. And so the person I would sell to is not the collector of Jayson Tatum. Maybe they would want one, but they probably would want the green Prizm for the color match and other cards like that. I'm okay with it if I know what the pop is and if the price is low enough. But also, the lower the price goes, the easier it is to hit a 40% margin or 30%. Because again, at $100, all you need to do is sell for $130, $140 to make a good amount of money for what you put in. It's like if you're putting in $2,000 for a card, though, well, maybe it's only a 10% or 20% profit that you need to make for it to be substantial. But I mean, for me, I'd like looking at this holo a bit more, thinking, all right, if this is at 635, maybe it goes down to, let's see what this number is, 550. If it goes down to 550, knowing that there's only 335, maybe I sell the one that I buy at 550 for 750, 800. Like, I think either is fine. I would just be curious to see where would this Optic PSA 10 go in terms of pop, and how much lower would the Holo go?
Wait a second. How much is the Optic Holo right now?
Are you going to try and buy one right now on the stream?
I mean, I didn't realize it was that low.
635.
Jeez. And look at the pop report is 1/10.
Is a tenth. That's it. Well, look, we've mentioned this before. And if you guys are watching, Optic Holo is the set and the variation that I think I'm going to target more and more next NBA season, because you see the pop being so much lower. Plus, even though a Holo is not super exciting, it's still a nice looking card because it's like a exciting version of the base, but it's not like a conflicting color where you have a green variation on a red jersey, or a purple on a yellow, and you just have these ugly cards. It's just a more exciting looking base, but with such a lower print run.
And it's kind of like the 1A, 1B to like Silver Prizm.
Yeah.
Like Optic Holo is like 1B to a Silver Prizm, in my mind.
Yeah. I'm going to check on the scores here. Okay. Just checking.
The other thing, yeah, thanks for staying focused, Brad. The other thing that I was going to say too, another big variable is, where's that pop report going to be for that base Tatum in October, or in 3 months, with all these cards coming back? What if it's 7,000? Then maybe this card is $80, or maybe it's $100. I mean, that's the risk and I think that's why a lot of people are kind of holding, or just, waiting to see kind of where pricing ends up landing, because those two variables are working against each other. You've got kind of demand has kind of come down a little bit in modern, and then you've got, this, this supply that's sitting at PSA, and it's like, what's the deal there? I don't know though. I mean, if that goes down to $100 card, I mean, even if there is 7,000 on the pop report, I would probably look to pick one up or a couple up at that price point.
The other thing too with base versus Holo or silver is, I also ask myself, okay, well, the pop should be going up across the board in most situations. However, was the Optic Holo or Prizm Silver more likely to be submitted for grading in 2017, 2018, 2019, because that was already a card of enough value to go ahead and grade, while the base only exploded in 2020 when it was a $10 card and people were like, well, I'm not going to really grade it. And then it only made sense last year, meaning that a lot of those cards are still being processed at PSA. While
I also picked that Tatum as well, because I have a little bit more comfort with like 2015 to 2017 over 2018 and forward. So, and you're right, Ryan, that's exactly why I'm bringing this up. I mean, this could be a 10,000 pop. Like, we don't really know what it's going to look like in 6 months. So, I mean, that is kind of that variable, to watch, and that will have an effect on price. But if you go back to the Tatum 17, so, I don't think it's going to be as bad as the 18 stuff, 18, 19, 20, but we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. I got to pee. Hold on.
Oh, of course you do. Man, I'm right at the point where it's like, why do I do this? Why do I even have them on? I should just do lives by myself, because it just gets to a point where you're like, how long am I going to have to put up with like this type of weirdness? It just doesn't make any sense. Why do you drink 3 gallons of water a day? Just drink like half of a gallon like a regular person. Just don't get it. Don't get it. Sent cards in March at 400-ish, dropping around 60 now. I tried to avoid too many. I thought I would do that. Yes, 2017 card. So, see about that, about the pops. I didn't realize that the Optic Holos had come down for Tatum. I did not realize they were in that $600 range. That's a lot lower than they were. I mean, as we saw in the chart, quite a bit lower. Brad's going to pick his hair. I know. Do it all, Dad. That's the thing. I've got kids, and I've got Brad too that I now take care of. It's unbelievable. Yeah. What do you do, Brad? How many? Oh, do I have to add you back in? Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do watching the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Did you miss like half the movie each time?
I just have to watch movies at home. And then I could walk my laptop into the restroom with.
You just have to be able to see the TV from the toilet, and you're fine.
Yeah, I'm like, if you ever go to a nice hotel, like if you go to Vegas and stay in one of those hotels, a lot of them have TVs in the bathroom as well. Have you seen that? Where it's like a TV in the bathroom, dude. It's the best thing in the world. So you never miss a beat.
I mean, it's usually like Days Inn and Motel 6 for me. So I haven't seen that yet.
Being split with like 9 ways with all your cameramen.
You mean like the roaches on the wall and stuff? That
the way they look, like those. You have your own entertainment.
Optic, TW, Optic card rarity in general. You have to also look at Gem 10 rate. Yeah, how many are? And from what I've heard, and look, there's not a perfect science to this. I've heard Optic is a tougher grade than some of the other sets. Whether that's true or not, let me know if you guys know.
Well, the other thing I was looking at too is I was looking at what cards had dropped the most for football earlier today, and Mosaic. It was a Mosaic Tua, Mosaic Burrow, and Mosaic Herbert had fallen the most. And I think part of it is that Mosaic comes out first, so it's the first card to get graded and be at whatever price and then drop. But I think the other thing too is that was one set that I eliminated very early on because of how forgotten it gets when the Optic and the Prizm and the Select come out. So even going forward, it's going to be Mosaic being out the window and then just Optic and just Prizm going with more the silver, hollow, and then whatever parallels seem to be good. And it's kind of a random thought, but it was just one of those things where base needs to be very desirable for me to go for the base card. And I have to be confident in the pop report, not growing much more than where it's at, because I feel like people are going to get bored of base. You know, like it's a boring card, period, but it's more just to be able to move and whatnot. But going forward, I think just at least hollow, at least silver, at least disco or something like that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, Trey Young, Optic Hollow is coming down to $725. I mean, this does reach a price. I mean, if these get down in like that $500 range, I mean, that's pretty low for where those cards have been. But also, you know, these are future stars of the league. We're anticipating anyway. We're anticipating that Trey Young will be relevant in 5 years. That Jayson Tatum will be relevant in 5 years. And so if you're playing a little bit more of a longer game, I'm typically always looking more at what's my downside compared to what's my upside. I feel like the upside will take care of itself. I'm more worried about just not overpaying on the front end. What's the downside? Obviously, when we're buying cards for professional athletes, the downside is, Andrew Luck, they retire tomorrow, they get injured or whatever. There's always that could happen. But I mean, for the most part, it's trying to figure out that downside risk.
Yeah, it's the downside as well as, look, there's the numbered cards, there's other parallels. You can get very scarce, but when the price goes through the roof, it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you bought the right card if you're buying it at the wrong price, because if it's a Trey Young numbered to 5, whatever, and you paid $2,000 for it, well, if he breaks his leg, then that's over. Or if people don't care to pay that much for a card, then he could have a great career, but maybe he's not Hall of Fame status or the top 5% of the Hall of Fame, the Kobe, the Shaq, the Jordan, the LeBron. And now it's a $2,000 card that you paid, but maybe it's only worth $1,000. So I still think like serial numbered and parallels are very easy to flock to because it's scarce. But when the prices are through the roof on those, then I still want to go back to the silvers and the hollows and some of the better value buys.
You have any interest in vintage stuff? Or are you still trying to you're focused on modern?
I mean, what do you mean by vintage? Are you talking about pre-80s?
Yeah, I'm not talking about like 97, Brad. I'm talking about like pre-1980.
No, I mean, because I wasn't around. I mean, I was born in 86. So really 91 onwards is when I actually remembered things. So I could go back that far, but it wouldn't be for personal interest.
So for you, it's more about like the nostalgia stuff, not necessarily like the historical piece of like a 1950s card. Or
no, to me, that bores the hell out of me. That's like going into a museum. like a boring museum.
Well, I thought that we had more in common, and now it's changing. So, all right, I'm learning more about you, and I think these are good things to know. All right, center fielder 7. What are your guys' thoughts on Tua? Is he going to be the franchise starter for Miami? He's surrounded with weapons, and the defense is legit. I think that if Tua doesn't show it in the next year or two, then I'm just not big on Tua, and I don't know why. Honestly, I think the injuries coming out of college. I know that he's gotten over them and everything else, but I don't know. I'm just not big on him. Didn't they bench him last year as well, or they brought him out? And they put Fitzpatrick back in. The Dolphins have a good team, so I feel like this coming season, if Tua doesn't really kind of show some consistency, then I think that would be a disappointment because he has a good team around him. He's not playing with a bad team. Miami's stocked up on draft picks. They've added weapons. Defense is good. Coaching is good with Flores. I mean, I think it's time. It's time.
And the other thing I would add is earlier in the offseason, I was looking up who are the best backup quarterbacks in the league. And at the time the articles were written, this was before Jameis Winston got the starting gig in New Orleans. And there may have been a couple other trades and whatever, but I think number 3 out of 30 something on the list was Jacoby Brissett, and Jacoby Brissett is actually the backup to Tua in Miami, which means that I could easily see if Tua goes down with an injury or if he doesn't play that well, if Jacoby Brissett is pretty decent and is winning games, it's really hard to go back to a question mark. You might not think that Brissett is the future, but if he's winning games, like, what do? It's kind of like Justin Herbert and Tyrod Taylor, right? Where you're like, Tyrod Taylor was supposed to be the guy in LA, and then Justin Herbert kind of came in, and even though he didn't win games, he looked so good. You're just like, all right, we just got to keep going with you.
Speaking of Jacoby Brissett, I've got a couple of auto rookies for him. If anyone is interested, reach out to me directly. They are very inexpensive right now. They are on clearance.
I'll give you $6, including shipping.
I just lost money on the whole deal. All right.
Hey, but you're happy to get out and get that $6 and roll it over into something else.
Yeah.
Perhaps a snack.
You're the victim in this relationship. I know, right? I agree with you. I'm not a Tua believer. I'm with you, Dex. Look, here's the thing is that all these high draft picks that have been QBs, whether it be this year, last year, a lot of these guys are not going to work out. Like, look historically at NFL QBs in the draft. I mean, like, there's only 32 starting jobs, and there's only going to be so many Hall of Famers out of those 30. I mean, like, a lot of these guys are not going to work out.
Yeah.
And there's
a lot of optimism around rookies and second year. And it's like, I mean, how many good quarterbacks did we have from the last year's draft, or like appearing good, like 5 or so? Yeah, like 4 or 5.
I mean, think of all the guys too that are like second, third tier. I mean, like there's like the Will Greers, the Ryan Finleys, the Mason Rudolphs, and these are like third string quarterbacks that actually are not awful, and not like completely awful. It's just such a QB rich league right now. It's like there's just so many like there's so many average to above average quarterbacks. It's like, how do you spec on any of these guys? How do you say like, oh, I believe that Matt Stafford's going to have a better year than Jared Goff? How do you, I mean, okay, the Rams have a better team, but it's not as if Stafford was lighting it up in Detroit, and it wasn't only the organization's fault. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, Detroit's terrible, so that's why it didn't work out. I mean, like, there's just so many guys like that. I mean, Dak Prescott, great quarterback, and I know he got injured last year, but he's had a lot of weapons around him, hasn't gotten over the hump yet. I don't know. Yeah. I could go on and on with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we bring it up a lot, but it's true with NFL versus the other sports is that there are so many factors surrounding an individual player's success, right? You think of a defensive tackle. A defensive tackle will get a lot more sacks and pressures if they have a couple other great defensive players on the line as well, right? Same thing with quarterbacks.
To add to the parity of the NFL this season, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes are going to be on the Madden cover on the video game, the Madden cover, which if anyone knows about the Madden cover curse, guys get injured that go on the cover. those are the two most important players in the league right now. I mean, as far as just stature and accomplishments and everything else, Tom Brady and Mahomes. So I'm not, I'm hopeful that's just exactly. Apollo knows exactly what I'm talking about. If those guys go down, man, it's going to be a real interesting NFL season.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, good thing it's a league that protects quarterbacks right now. Let me share the screen real quick just to bring up the cover because it's really good looking.
Brad's been admiring this Madden cover for the last 2 days.
Well, the only thing I did a bit differently is I put my face over Patrick Mahomes and changed his jersey to a Buccaneer jersey. That's a good looking cover though, man. That's pretty cool.
Were you pretending like you were Brady talking trash to him for like 2 hours today? You suck. I beat you.
I love you. Will you marry me? I mean, you know what's interesting about this shot, though? Do you think this was taken at the Super Bowl? Or do you think that background with the sky is photoshopped in? Like, because it looks a lot like a Tampa sky.
Yeah, I don't know. Good question.
I was just wondering because I envisioned this being in Tampa because the Chiefs played in Tampa and obviously lost to the Bucs. But I wonder if this was during media week, if they took this shot, and maybe they did. I mean, it could realistically have been the 1 or 2 days that the Chiefs arrived in Tampa for prep for the Super Bowl. But anyway.
What is this? You need to see the video Brady tweeted. I need to check that out because I don't know what that is, Bobby. I have to take a look. Avocado ice cream is Madden proof. If anyone can beat the jinx, it's going to be the curse. It's definitely going to be Tom Brady.
Well, either way, if Mahomes and Brady are on the cover, then at least they cancel each other out. So you don't have to worry about if Brady's on the cover and then Mahomes and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl or vice versa. At least it should be an even playing field if they both get cursed.
I haven't played Madden in over a decade, but I've heard that the new Maddens are really, really bad. So I've heard I'm not missing out on anything there.
How do they get worse when everything is supposed to get better with technology?
Yeah, I guess the gameplay is really bad. Like breaking tackles, catching, like it's just unrealistic. Guys, just like the Saints aren't winning every game. It's just really unrealistic like that.
Like Jameis Winston's not throwing picks. 9 touchdowns, 0 interception game.
Jameis Winston's about to have an all-time season coming up ahead. Actually, it was really funny. When I was in Dallas, I saw there was a guy that was selling like Topps Chrome Jameis rookies, like PSA 10s. And I was like, hey, how much are you asking for those? Just like out of curiosity. He's like, oh, 800 each. And I was like, these cards are probably like $40 like 2 months ago, like
Jameis Winston PSA 10, what, Prizm?
It was like, no. It was like, I think his rookie's like 14 or 15 or whatever. It was like a Topps Chrome something. Okay.
I'm like, his 1-of-1 RPA shouldn't be worth $800.
I know. I was like, wow, man. But hey,
all right,
what you do? Hey, Michael's a believer. I agree. I think that he's going to be halfway decent. I don't think he's going to throw 30 picks. He might throw 35 picks, but he's not throwing 30.
Look, but you can't say he's going to be halfway decent because he's literally been halfway decent his entire career, where you throw 30 touchdowns and then 30 picks. That is halfway decent. The other half is dreadful.
You know what? There's going to be a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara, so not as much Jameis Winston. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I like watching Jameis scramble because it's comical. You ever see him scramble? Just because it's like you're not super slow, but you're just a very awkward, funny runner. And he never wants to run. So it's more like, I don't know. He's running like he stole a 6-pack from the local 7-Eleven, which he probably, I'm sure he's used to that type of escaping.
I can't believe that you went there. You actually went there, that he stole something. He would never do that. Dustin, do you play fantasy football? If so, are you a Holmes picking all Saints players? Actually, the joke is with my fantasy football team that I do pick a lot of Saints players over the last 10 years. But the reality is that the Saints have a lot of offensive weapons. So for me to pick like Kamara and Michael Thomas, they usually have a high-powered offense. So I usually take Will Lutz, the kicker. I'll take some of those guys. I try to mix it up, though. I don't just pick all Saints.
Are you, Dustin, are you buying any football cards still, or have you stopped?
I've stopped because I want to wait until Here, this is going to be funny. This is going to be a test for me. I want to see how this goes because everybody under the sun is selling. You and I have talked about this. Is going to sell their football cards in August. So I want to see what that looks like in August for certain cards. I want to see what the supply looks like. But if the supply, if prices are high in August, then I'm planning to buy in October. October is going to be my football buying month. I'm actually looking more at like if we're talking about the national and things like that. There was another question. I'm really looking at basketball and then also vintage stuff. I'll look at vintage and modern basketball.
Yeah, and I think basketball will be interesting because the season ends July 15th. I think that's the latest day. So 2 weeks after is when that ends. But it'll be curious to see how much basketball will be there versus the other stuff. I just think basketball will be a better play overall at the national in terms of buying, and then selling football would just seem natural because the money, like we mentioned this before, the money and the focus should shift. It should not be on basketball after the season's over. Yes, Olympics and free agency, but besides that, you got like at least 3 months minimum, maybe 4 months, or maybe like 5 or 6 months until the season starts. I guess if they start in November or December, you have 4 months.
I'm kind of curious to see if basketball speculation is going to start earlier than usual. If it's going to start at the national, that's something that I'm going to be watching. Like if I go to the national and I'm checking eBay and prices are going up, or they're kind of even going up a little bit. I think that would be interesting if people are kind of like with football. If you look at football, people started kind of speculating pretty early on football. Like there wasn't that football offseason like what we're used to. And so I'm wondering if that's going to be the case. Like I'm going to show up to the national thinking okay, I'm here for some modern basketball. And then really modern basketball was now is the time, to kind of go on modern basketball. I'm wondering how that's going to go.
See, I don't think I think it's going to be way too early because of football starting. If it was just basketball and then we had another season scheduled to start in September or October and they really wanted to compress the offseason, that's one thing. But with NFL about to start and this being a good football season where we have an extra regular season game, fans are going to be allowed in stadiums. And there's something about football season. And I don't know, maybe just because I'm a football fan way more than a basketball fan. When football season comes around, there's an energy behind it. I don't know if you can relate, but I don't.
Yeah, dude. I actually go to games. I'm actually a real fan.
But you have tailgating. You have once per week in this giant coliseum, these gladiators trying to rip each other's heads off. You got something, I think, a bit more easier to rally behind than basketball. And that could just be the fact that I grew up in Tampa and football was a lot more of a big sport, college and professional, and basketball wasn't really a thing. But there was you feel it in the air when football season's coming around. And I think it's a Southern thing too, Southern region as well.
I agree. And then also I think this football season, just being that people can, from what I understand, it's going to be full stadiums again. It's going to be like a regular NFL season. And then you factor in, you've got the Trevor Lawrence buzz. You've got some of these new QBs, on top of the Mahomes and the Bradys and the Aaron Rodgers and the Breeze. No, not Breeze. Damn it.
Sorry.
Breeze is buying sports cards now. I don't know if you saw that. I know you don't watch my videos, but
I can't keep up. I don't have 28 hours in the day to watch all your videos.
I watch yours and you don't watch mine. Although you put one out every 3 weeks, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right.
I hide you. I hide you from my channel most of the time, and then I just let you hop on once every couple of weeks to watch one, just so you don't get suspicious.
I'm like, how come I can't find his stuff? Are you guys grabbing? I would say yes to both of these. I haven't. Now, look, I've been on kind of a little bit of a buying hiatus over the last few weeks. I bought 1 or 2 cards because I'm just trying to be a little bit more patient and see what happens. And I'm also trying to make sure I've got money for the national, et cetera. But yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be a PSA 10 for me. I'm perfectly fine if it's an important card that's in a BGS or an SGC slab. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad?
I mean, I have packages here that I need to open. I have about 5 or 6, but that's been the slowest or the least amount of buying period for me in a long time. And that's because I have 90% or 80% football in my inventory. And then I'm pretty much stocked up on everything I wanted. And when I buy again, it will be when I move most of these cards. So if I sell a couple of them, I'll put that into basketball or something else. But to me, yeah, it's just been from January till now, football, and that's it. It's going to be like, all right, I'm in super early. Maybe the prices go down a bit more. Maybe they don't. Maybe I could have bought later than I did. But wherever it's at, I'll be okay. But it's kind of boring when you're not buying as much. Have you noticed that? It's kind of boring when I go on eBay and there's only 2 items ending that day, and I already have a couple of each, and I'm like, okay. So it's been weird. I've not spent this little time. I've not spent as little time as now on eBay, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've been kind of mixing. So my other thing is I want to buy, vintage like Silver Age and Golden Age comic books. The problem with that though is comic books are kind of in their hot period right now. Like comic books are hot. So I'm like, dang it. Like, I mean, there's stuff that I want, but I'm like, I don't want to pay this price when, 6 months ago it was this price, and it's like, dang it. Like I should probably just be patient on the comics. Where it gets a little bit tricky with the comics is like the census, the population are a lot lower on the vintage stuff. I mean, like,
right.
If you want like an important comic book, a lot of times there's less than 1,000 graded, period. I mean, it's low.
Well, what's interesting with you mentioning that is I don't know how the pricing on comics have worked, but the dilemma that you mentioned reminds me of if it's March 2020, right? We were in March 2020. You were in before that, but you go, man, the price is now March 2020. This Jordan card is way higher than it was in January or in late 2019. I'll just wait for it to go down in price. And then it never does because the March prices only led to higher, and then it spiked and dropped and all this, but it never hit those prices of what it was before. So the question I have for you is, do you feel like the current situation with comics, is that more of a high period that will go down lower? Or do you feel it more of like, this is the beginning of comics having its breakout year the way that cards did in 2020, where if you look at the charts, you see like dots at the very bottom, which represented all the prices of 2019 and early 2020. And then once March hit, the dots kept going higher and higher. But before that, it was like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. So Marvel stuff, especially, and DC stuff, but comics, it's not a new phenomenon. They've already gone up. They've already gone up substantially a few years back when I got in. When I got back into the hobby at the beginning of 2018, a lot of people were speccing on these same comic books. We're talking about like, first appearance of Silver Surfer and X-Men, first appearance of Wolverine and all this stuff. It's all the same stuff. And it's actually just gone kind of like supercharged over the last, 6 months. So it's even higher than it was, back when I got into it. I actually bought and sold stuff. Now, if I had held, the stuff I sold, of course, I used the money to like buy other things, other comic books. But those books that I had sold are now, a lot of them are double, triple where I sold them at, but you just never know. And a lot of people are speccing because of the movies. Now we don't have any movies. We don't have any Marvel movies. So, and it's kind of like the off season. We're kind of in like the off season of Marvel movies because you don't have like this giant Avengers or this whatever coming out.
And these little streaming shows like Loki or whatever, that's not big enough. That's not that's not filling theaters. That's just, okay, if I got Disney Plus now, I could watch Loki or what's the other one, the Winter Soldier and whatever else. But it's not buzzworthy all over the country. Dude, like what we talked about earlier, I feel like we are in the off season of cards too, as a whole. Like there's some cards that are going up, but I feel like this is summer vacation for cards. I don't know if you feel like the summer vacation vibe, like where you live and everything, just people out and like, because here in LA where it's a lot of people in a condensed space, I see a lot of activities outdoor, a lot of movement, a lot of like optimism and people getting tanned and looking like me and not looking like you. And I feel like, I honestly feel like this is just a summer break from cards. And obviously people are doing business and things are going on, but that's the kind of feel I get.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty tan as it is, so, I mean, I don't really need a lot of help. What? I don't look tan enough?
Yeah. I'm like, well, I guess compared to your teeth.
It's a joke, Brad. Just,
okay.
You
almost have the same complexion as the wall behind you.
I'm just invisible into the wall. By the way, Invisible Man, that's a movie that I watched like a month ago. Random thought, but that's a really good movie, like thriller suspense. The Invisible Man.
Who's in it?
Scary. I don't know any of the actors.
So
I don't
follow
good? That stuff.
Okay.
I don't live in LA. I don't follow any of that crap. But all right, be patient with Trevor Lawrence cards. I think they'll start out through the roof. This is kind of the same with like LaMelo. I mean, this is kind of the same with new product. 100% agree, Jonas. This is going to be like they come out red hot. They're super expensive, and then they dip.
Yeah.
Now, look, obviously, we don't know if they're going to 100% dip, but if it follows the same trend as like everything else we've seen.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, that's just – it should dip just because the human behavior is to be overly excited about hype and the potential of a player and a new product and being the first one to get it. And I think that's where the mosaics are like, oh, through the roof, and then they drop. And if you I was looking at Market Movers, what's dropped the most over the last 60 days a couple of weeks ago for my newsletter. And when I looked at under basketball, it was LaMelo. And it was like every single LaMelo card had dropped down to a price that represents a guy that's young, that's talented, but that's out of the playoffs. And there's way more of that card now in circulation versus before. So, I mean, Trevor Lawrence wouldn't even be on my radar probably until next year, because I would need to see, like, what are all the sets? What are the pop reports? What's the print run? And how is his rookie year? Like he's a rookie. The cards, like especially new sets or new variations, I look at that as a rookie. Like anything that's new is like rookie. If it's a platform, if it's NFTs, if it's Top Shot, all right, this is your rookie year. After 1 year, then I will look into it, unless it's that let me get in very quickly and get out after a profit and let someone else take that risk.
Yeah, I'm like visualizing like Donruss football, kind of like with Donruss basketball. You have all the LaMelo rookies that were like $60 on eBay the second they come out, and now they're a $5 card or a $10 card or whatever. I can see the same thing with like Trevor Lawrence. You have like a zillion of them. They're going to print those obviously I don't look at Panini, but I think they're going to, I anticipate them printing a lot of those. I think there's going to be a lot.
Of course you would if you're Panini. It's like, if the demand's there, it's fine. It's just, I think that one thing I always think of is that only now do we have all of this content and all of the data to be able to look back and say, holy crap, that's what happened last year. Don't do that. And I wonder how many people actually follow the content and study the data and do all this to realize, okay, that's what's not to do. And if the Trevor Lawrence cards and the others will spike as much, or if as many people will go in that early, or people are actually saying, hold on a second, I heard from this one YouTuber, the personal fiance dud, not to do that. And they'll actually learn. Because, I mean, I wonder how many people are actually trying to understand and save some money, whether it's investing or collecting, and how many people are like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be the biggest thing ever. Here's a card of him. It says RC on it. I'll pay whatever price.
Yeah, and I think that some people are just going to want to collect them and whatever, but I just think about like 1989 when I think of like this like football set. This is kind of like is this going to be a Greg Jeffries moment? Ryan had thrown that out there. Greg Jeffries is a baseball player in '89, prospect that was a good player, but they just printed now look, they're not printing the same, they're not printing 10 million of one set. But you're going to have so many different ones. Like Michael makes a good point here. Lawrence already has like 2,000 autos, and he doesn't even have NFL cards yet. He's already got NFTs. The guy's got like all this stuff. I mean, there's going to be a zillion things to buy for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is the Zion Williamson of NFL, which is great for football and football cards. And I hope he at least has a good year, like at least not
does that give a
disappointing.
boost? Does that give a kind of a boost to the NFL card market as a whole?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But he can't disappoint. Like as long as it's hard to live up to the expectations when the expectations is come in here and you'll be the next Peyton Manning. But as long as he has a solid rookie year, I think it'd be great.
I think I'm going to sit on this, Will. I've gone back and forth. I mean, I was
sitting on.
I think that what Will's talking about is the courtside silver PSA 9 that I bought for Devin Booker while we were in Dallas, preemptively in case they beat the Lakers. And they did. But you know what? I think I'm just going to sit on it. That might be my bad. You know, maybe
This is figurative, not literal.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to literally sit on it.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, vertical or horizontal? Are you looking to slide it? Or?
I just like that card too. Like that's where I get into trouble with just like the collecting side as well. First off, I like Devin Booker. I like that young Suns team. I kind of hope that they do well. I'm pulling for him. But then at the same time, I think the kid's like 24 years old. Like he's got like probably another decade in the league if he stays healthy. And it's like that's a pretty rare rookie card of his. So it's like, you know.
How rare? What is it again?
There's 28 PSA 9s and there's 32 PSA 10s. It's courtside silver. So it's not courtside. Like as a comparison, the Luka of that card is probably a $5,000 to $7,000 card. I got that Booker for $1,200, you know? So it's not like I paid like market rate. I think the last comp on it, and there's not a lot of comps because there's just not that many graded, but the last comp when I was looking at it was $1,100. So I paid $100 more than the last comp, but I had never actually seen that card before. Like I had looked for it and not seen it. And it's just it's not one you see every day.
Okay. I was going to say, because my thought process was sell it while you have a profit and then off season buy it again. But if it is that rare to the point where you might not see it on eBay, period, and you'd have to search for it and there's not an equivalent card that you believe in, then maybe just holding on to it is fine.
Now at the show, I don't know what the Booker Prizm 10s are looking like now. At the show, those were $700, $725, and I'll bet they're higher now. I don't know what they are. Maybe they're 1,000. I
want to look it up because it's also nice to see cards that are going up in price too.
Let's just see. Yeah, I'm just curious on that because that could be something where if I had Prizms of like the base Prizm, I would probably sell that just because it's not as rare. But yeah, okay. What do you have?
Yeah, so let me. It's been quite steady, like a bit of a downwards trajectory. It could be the fact that more of those have gotten graded, but all right, it dropped down to 683. I'll share the screen just because it's a lot easier.
They're less now. All right, well yeah.
Well, hold on, because it's gone up and down based on the sun. So hold on a second. But the other thing to factor in as well is I have not tracked where the pop report was on here. So I'm curious to see. That's Tatum. That's Devin Booker right there. So his pop is 1,400, but I bet that number was a lot smaller 5-6 months ago. I bet that number has really gone up. So you see here, the last sale was at 789. So it did go up after the Suns beat the Lakers. It looks like the 6. So that's 11 days ago. 884, 875 around there. Last sale is 789, but the lowest was 638. And maybe that's when the Lakers looked like they were even with the Suns. I'd have to check the time.
Yeah, so
look, but see,
Card Ladder added this. It only goes back about 6 weeks, I think, for now. But Card Ladder has a feature that shows the increase in the pop report.
Yes, I saw that. That's a great feature. That's a great feature, especially with the newer stuff, the 19s, the 20s. That's the stuff where I'd want to check.
So this Booker at the end of April was at 1375, and now it's at what, like 14? So there's been about 60 new ones since in 6 weeks.
Okay.
So not crazy different, at least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting is that the pop report thing is something I mentioned to Tyler of Sports Card Investor. I was wondering because I was looking at Kyler Murray cards back in January, and I said, look, I like Kyler Murray. I like the future of the Cardinals. I don't think he's going to be too I think he'll be hyped before the season, but I don't think he'll be a very primary target right now. The issue I have is that he's a 2019 rookie, and if I'm going after Prizm base cards, and even if it was Prizm Silver or Optic Hollow, I want a rough idea of how many are being graded, so I get to see the pop report increase. But what I'd really like to know is it doubling and tripling month to month, or when's the threshold where it just goes up 10%, 20%? I would love to know like the speed at which they're coming out to get an idea of, okay, it was doubling every single month in pop, and then now it's only 50% up. And then the next month it's only up 25%. And then at least I could think, all right, looks like the majority has been graded, and now it's more of a trickle. And so I think that's important with the newer cards.
Well, and speaking to that, so where I saw that big time was Joe Burrow Prizm-based rookie card, PSA 10. So 2020, it's a new product, Prizm, and it's just his base rookie card. That one was at like his current pop on it was about 900 cards. And 6 weeks ago, it was like 400 cards. Literally had like more than doubled since April 29th in 6 weeks.
Wait, what was the first pop?
You got to listen to me the first time, Brad. I can't go through.
I'm visual, okay? I'm visual.
All right. So the population now.
That's why I don't watch your videos. It's just you talking. I need visuals.
I throw up visuals. Are you kidding me?
Video games and Family Guy.
I actually need to add more of that in. A lot more.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Okay. So it's at like 850, 900 is what the pop report is now for that Burrow PSA 10 Prizm rookie card. Okay. 6 weeks ago, it was at like 400. It's literally like doubled in 6 weeks.
Okay, I'll share the screen of him right now, and you see the price of Burrow's cards have gone down, which makes sense, not only with football going down since the draft ended. Do you want to share it real quick?
Brian, I swear, I think that's what I'm going to have to start doing.
There you go. Yeah, dude, be like those videos that are popular on Instagram where it's like a little animation.
Actually, spoiler alert, I'll go ahead and just share this before I share the streams when Brad starts talking again and ruins everything. My animator is working on some kind of cool effects, video effects. So stay tuned for that. I'm not gonna ruin anything. It's just gonna be there one day. It's gonna be cool.
Your animator, just say your wife, okay? I'm like,
my biggest cheerleader and my animator.
My second animator, my backup animator is working on this huge project. Okay. Well, we have $800 in February. So that's when Prizm was just out in November, something like that, November. And this was probably one of the first cards out because this is like sale number 10. So it peaked at 800, and now you see it's gone down, and last sale 437. So close to half as much. But yeah, 983. So I don't know if you checked earlier and it was less, it was like 920 or something, but I'm curious to see where this will end up by kickoff. And that's why I wouldn't touch this card because even if you got the player right and the card right, if this pop doubles or triples, then and Burrow was hyped too. Like he wasn't like a Justin Herbert guy. Joe Burrow, they should have printed a lot more cards. If that goes to 2,500 or 3,000, then where the price is going to be there. And in comparison, Kyler Murray, I believe, is at around 2,200 or something for Kyler Murray's 2019. And I don't know what the print run was for Burrow last year versus Kyler Murray, but if they are equivalent in terms of hype and popularity, then just the fact that it's 2020 and so many more people are in, there could have been 50% or 2 times the amount of cards printed, if not more.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, what's more important, the actual performance of the player or just what year they came out and what the print runs were for that card? It's like, I think that supply and demand thing is more important than what they actually do.
Well, because supply and demand is everything, right? I mean, like the Ken Griffey rookie cards. Ken Griffey was great. But if everyone could have his card, then great. Everyone gets his card and the supply is through the roof. If everyone wants a diamond, but there's, they find a diamond mine the size of like Antarctica, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we all got diamonds, no big deal. Yeah, there it is.
That's how my life is. It's just so many diamonds everywhere.
Can your animator do like a parody cartoon of you just grazing, like turning you into a cow, just grazing on the pistachios on the ground?
Actually, that shouldn't be that hard to do. I could have him like with a bag of chips, or maybe I'll do pistachios or something like that. That's actually kind of funny.
You should, yeah. Have your wife do that.
Have him create your character, and it's going to be something special.
How about, dude? Can we do an animation for this? For off-centered?
So, all right, I'm just going to spill some of the beans here. I didn't want to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and just break the news here, give you a little bit of an idea of what's coming. Basically, this guy can do it to where like I can interact with the character. So like I can talk to it and it talks to me and all that stuff. So it's
So he can make fun of you. I don't even have to be here. Your cartoon version.
Eventually, I don't know if you're going to, I mean, you would obviously have to pay for something. So I don't know. You might have to sell some of your Buck stuff, some of those Kobe cards,
nice.
But to get your own guy to maybe like, argue with my guy. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun.
Ooh, yeah. Well, then we could just outsource it and they could do the stream and we don't have to even be on here.
Brad's just trying to think about how to not do this anymore. Wait a second. Animated characters? Then we don't even have to be on here.
I'm just waiting to clone myself so that myself could be doing the streams and I'll just be off in some tropical island sipping margaritas.
Sports card seller, what's up, man? Good to see you. Diamonds are not rare. That's just good marketing. I think about they put that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the whole Hallmark diamonds are forever. If you love her, you'll buy her a ring, and if you really love her, it'll be this size diamond, and it'll be this clarity, and da 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 da.
Yeah,
it's really clever marketing, but when you understand it from
I'm sure I'm not
lens,
shocking anyone with this statement, but if a woman needs a diamond to love you, then pass, move on, pass, keep going. There's other women out there.
Yeah,
you can see.
In a semi related topic, I've been on Hinge lately, and Hinge is a dating app. I recently broke up with my girlfriend, and Hinge is solid. So if you guys are out there, you're looking for someone, there's Bumble and there's Hinge as two of the top ones. I'm having a lot of success on Hinge. Very high quality women.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Just saying, helping a brother out.
I've just been spending most of my time on eHarmony. Never got off of it. I told my wife, I'm going to keep my options open.
Yeah.
You make me mad.
Keep her on her toes. Well, see, now this is why she has to do the animation for you.
Exactly. Well, I love how eHarmony just did a commercial where it was like all the women were like 21, and they're like, I'm like, no, it's not the younger crowd using eHarmony. And then also it was like 79% of the people that have been on eHarmony have found a match. Have found love. And I'm like, no, that's impossible. That's not true.
No, they have found love, just not with each other.
Yeah.
Just overall in life.
They found that they love to log in, but they don't find any love.
Yeah.
All right. What do we have?
Dope. Yeah. TW Hinge is dope. Denver's crazy. I don't know, man. Yeah. Hinge is like, I thought Bumble was the good one. And Tinder is like the garbage one. And then Bumble's mid-tier. Okay. Here's a good way. Here we go.
You're in LA though. Like, why do you need anything? Like you're in LA. It's like being in Miami. It's
efficiency. Ooh. When you can go number 2, or in my case, number 1 very often, and set up dates while you're using the restroom, that is multitasking at its finest. So this would be the comparison. Tinder would be like Mosaic base card or like a Donruss paper card. Bumble would be Prizm base, and then Hinge would be like I'd say select.
She's watching. She's watching.
Hold on. Let me finish. Hinge would be like select field level. And then here in LA, field level silver doesn't really matter, but field level, something rare. And then there's one called Raya, Raya, and that's an invite only one. I think they only have it in the big cities, but I've heard that like actual celebrities, like maybe not A-listers, but like TV stars, C-list celebrities, people that you might have actually recognized are on that. And it's not easy to get in, but it's one of those. And I think that would be like the RPA. And no, I'm not in that or whatever, but I've heard like it's legit, but it's very exclusive. And it's Raya.
You're trying to get an invite for that one?
I mean, if I did get one, I would definitely be on there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Wouldn't you want an RPA if you can get an RPA?
I already got an RPA at home. Love you,
There
babe.
you go. There you go. Oh, that's
you.
true. That's good.
I use Star Trek dating sites. Ryan, I'm with you, man. Go a little bit outside of the box. Don't follow the trends. If Brad's on Hinge, don't bother with it. It's probably garbage.
No, I'll clean up, so don't bother. If you guys see some of the professional pictures I've had done in the past that completely trick these women because they think I look that good in person.
I was going to say, Brad's got his modeling pic from like 1999 that he uses or whatever.
When I was 13, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You're like 25 years old. You're using your 10-year-old modeling pics.
Yeah, I was like, is that a backhanded insult? You know, is that supposed to be an insult that I'm 25? Because I'm 34, but I wish I was 25. Okay, I was actually.
If they called you up and they're like, "Hey, you want to be the Bachelor on TV?" What would you say?
They offered. Well, I mean, look. Here's the thing: reality shows are actually really common here in LA. So they do a lot.
Have you already been on the Bachelor?
No. They offered me. They offered me a spot on The Bachelorette. But here's the thing, that's pretty common here. Like they'll reach out to a lot of people and they'll try and go through every agency, every talent agency, every acting, modeling, everything they can, trying to find people. And I went through the process because I thought it could be good for wherever it could lead. But I was like, I'm either the guy, like The Bachelor, or I'm not interested. Because what if it's The Bachelorette and you have one girl and off the bat, I'm like, pass. I don't like her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to compete for someone that I don't even know who it is.
Yeah, you show up and you're barely attracted to her, and you've got to act like you're like into it.
My God, please go out with me. Yeah. And it's like I'm just not feeling you from day one. You know.
Honestly, the whole premise of the show of like 15 guys vying for one woman is all wrong to begin with. Like the whole thing is set up wrong. You know, so. I don't blame you.
I love how the questions now have gone off of sports and sports cards too. Hey, Brad, what do you have set up as your age range on Hinge? 24 to 30, 33, 34, like pretty much 10 years younger to about my age. But there's definitely outliers that are a couple of years older than me that I really click with. But usually
this is how we seg into guys. There's just less viewership for sports cards right now. So we're transitioning into other ideas, other channels. Brad's video tomorrow is how I find dates on Hinge.
Hey guys, I'm working on that Hinge sponsorship. Next time we're gonna have Off-Centered sponsored by Hinge, and it's gonna be Hinge banners all the way up there. But they're gonna pay for Dustin snacks and for my cake.
We're your sports guys, snacks, and dating sites guys. We'll be here.
I love it. I love a 7-year age range. That's the ratio. Do it for the money, Brad. Think of how many cards I could buy if I won The Bachelorette. If I got with The Bachelorette, how many Tom Brady rookie cards I could buy. Definitely female, Troy. See, now I've got to answer these questions just to save face.
Oh man! All right, I feel like we're going off the rails. Your volume
okay. High. Yeah. Any final? Well, I mean, look, we can go for another 10, 15 minutes, or we can end it. But any other things or topics on sports or cards that are on your mind right now?
I want to throw this out there. This is something that we got off track, and I want to talk about it. Rick Carlisle quits the Mavs, and there was some kind of, what do you mean you got to go? What do you mean you have to go, man? Come on.
Come on, Grumpy. Come on.
Grumpy. Nice. But here's the thing is that there's like now look, this is speculation. I've heard reports. I don't necessarily believe everything I read in the news. I don't believe about 90% of it. But is Luka Doncic turning into a little bit of a diva? Like, is Rick Carlisle kind of like, I don't want to deal with this? There's like speculation that, they weren't necessarily seeing eye to eye on some stuff. And so is this kind of like, and look, here's one thing. The one thing about Luka that I feel like he's going to have to get better at is at times, especially during playoff games, he's a hothead. It's like he can't it's like he gets riled up. Teams like the Clippers with like Patrick Beverley and those guys and Morris, those guys get under his skin really, really easily. And so it's like he's going to have to, and look, maybe it's frustration because he doesn't have, a number two helping him out, whatever. But I just don't know. It's just kind of making me wonder a little bit, how's that team going to look? New coach, new general manager, because the general manager left. are they going to revamp that team? Like, what's the story there? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. While the comments come in, I'm like, he's 22 years old, like that is so young. And not only young, because if you're a 22-year-old player and you're on the way up and you're getting better every year, that's one thing. But he's already in that superstar status, and he's already being labeled the next superstar of the NBA and the face of the NBA. That's a lot of pressure. I kind of see it as like Justin Bieber being 18 years old or 17 years old, being like, you are the #1 pop star in the world.
He's going to be like Britney Spears and shave his head.
Yeah. Like, don't screw it up. And so, I mean, I feel like he probably puts extra pressure on himself to get every bucket and to do everything, because everyone else has already built him up to being the face, where he can't just go at his own pace. He can't just like grow into a better player. He has to be there right now. So I just wonder what's going on in Luka's psyche, if he's like very cool and like, whatever they say is fine, or at 22 years old being thrust to the limelight of the face of the NBA and supposed to be the next LeBron or Larry Bird or whoever, if that's affecting him to the point where he would argue fouls and he would get like a bit of a temper tantrum or go off the handle because he's more of the show.
Bradman and Slobin offering dating tips. Love it, Chris.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's right. I think Chris brought it up last time. Yeah, instead of Batman and Robin, Bradman and Slobin.
The nicknames keep on coming. All right, guys. I think we are going to wrap it up on that note. I feel like this was, like I always say, about an hour longer than I wanted it to be. But hopefully we brought something a little different with some dating tips and some snacks and whatever.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, it's 7:17 here on the West Coast, and usually if it's an hour later than you want to be on, that's only a 6-minute show. So I'm glad that you actually wanted to be on for 17 minutes this time.
Yeah, I have to go because Brad has a date in 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, dude, seriously, man, I've been looking at my phone during this stream just because I'm getting the notifications. I'm like, all right, hurry up, Dustin. Just yammer on about something. I want to answer this one. Pretty girl right there. Look at that. Pretty girl. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a 7-year-old picture. All right, anyway, guys.
Well, that's something we can bond over, me and her.
You guys are both 25 in your pictures.
Yeah. Hey, that's chemistry right there. Great minds think alike.
All right, I'm going to end it with a GD quote. He comes in heavy at the last second. Someone's hungry. That's me.
And the other guy needs to pee again.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will talk to you later. Have a good night.
Have a good weekend. See ya.